You mentioned starting to write a story to tell your daughter. At what point do you have the conversation with her that mom is HIV positive? And did this book or story ever come to fruition?
The book is still a work in progress.
Okay.
I actually just found the original version a couple days ago, where I was writing it as a fiction novel. So I was changing people's names, changing stories, making it. And then a friend was like, "You should write it as a script." And I was like, so I have a lot of people telling me what I should be doing with it. There's another version of a book that has more anecdotes versus a chronological story like what I just told you.
Okay.
Because I'm really concerned about other people, and not attaching stigma to them. My daughter, uh, her understanding has always been at her appropriate age level, I guess I should say. Some of it hard, some of it, I wish she was here to like share what she remembers. But I remember there was a day where she was learning her alphabet, and she's like, "Mommy has h, mommy has I, mommy has v," and I was like, "The heck? Did she just spell HIV?" Because she would hear me talk about it.
Of course.
I would explain like I went through a phase where I thought I had fibromyalgia. I was really sensitive to temperature and touch. And you know, children, they don't ask for permissions for hugs. They just run and grab you, or they're climbing on you. She unfortunately had to learn to ask, "Mommy, do you hurt?" Before she could be affectionate with me, and that was hard. We prayed about that, and I went to the doctor, and there was no fibromyalgia. We don't know why. I'm still sensitive to temperature, but not as the touch doesn't hurt. Like, I'm not in pain. Like, I can hug people and things like that. It was more in my joints, but the doctor did tell me it's something I do need to keep track of and monitor as I get older. Aging with HIV is something that there's literally a conference that just ended here in Orlando today, talking about that, because it's just not something we talk about enough. And as she got older, you know, she was in a teen pregnancy prevention program, and so the agreement we had as I became more public and vocal about my status, she has her dad's last name. So if I'm in the paper, people don't connect that I'm her mom.
Was that intentional?
That was intentional.
Okay.
Her having her dad's last name was not intentional. That was to keep him out my face. But I'm glad I did it that way. It was also because I don't have my dad's last name. My maiden name is my sister's dad's last name.
Gotcha.
And I went through I never got like the flying perks and things like that with my father. So I was like, whenever I have children, I'll be sure that if I'm not married, in my case I wasn't, that my daughter had her dad's last name. So as she got older, I would get invited to like youth groups and things. I would check with her. I'm like, "Do you know anybody that goes to this church? Do you know anybody that's in this space?" Because I didn't want to force her into something she didn't ask to be here.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't want her having the shadow of stigma over her life. I wanted her to choose if she wanted to be in the advocacy space. And so that was, you know, middle school up through high school. Certain friends of hers would know. It just wasn't a big deal. They just didn't say anything. So it wasn't like, ew, you can't be friends with Simone because her mom has that stuff. Like, it wasn't, to my knowledge, she was never treated that way. She was a very social child. I was very busy keeping up with all her activities. And today, you know, like, we joke about, like, if you ask her what I do, she's like, she travels a lot, she talks a lot. She's always on a Zoom. She doesn't know, like, a title to attach to it. Like, I work at an organization, so I have a title, but she never knew what to call an HIV advocate. Like, that just wasn't, so there was no, like, come show and tell for, like, what your parent does for a living. I never did that. The one time I did want to do, I think it's called Teach Across America or some program, I framed it as a patient advocate. And I remember one of the parents, another parent in the room was like, "Well, do you make good money doing that?" And I was just like, a lot of it's volunteer because I'm fighting for people's lives. And I told myself, that's a piece of parenting. You don't have to. I was very hands-on with her school. So you don't have to do that. Do the PTA meeting, bring the cookies, do the drop-offs. You don't have to come and engage with other parents. Because I realized that was a little snarky, and I didn't want people to start digging. and start making connections, because I feel like some of the stigma that comes from children is from their parents saying things. I was like, I'm very protective about my child, so I was like, the first day she ever comes home saying somebody said something to her, you're going to see that Kamaria is not as shy and quiet as you think she is. So it's been a quiet path with my daughter. Even now, like, I have to catch myself. I try not to even say her name. Like, community, they know who she is. She's on social media. She doesn't have an issue with it. I check in with her every so often, to the point that I think I get on her nerves. I think she wants me to stop
Right. Like,
being
Mom, I
so.
get it.
Yeah, I think she wants me to stop being so worried. I just, never want her ashamed of me. I don't want her embarrassed by me. But then I also do things intentionally that are embarrassing because I'm her mom and I can.
Right.
I was like, you show me the TikTok dance, I'm going to do it wrong on purpose just because. So I think we have a good relationship. And one of my goals was to show her, like, what a loving relationship can look like. And that even though I'm going through this, I'm still worthy and deserving of love. I wanted to teach her that no matter what you go through, you are still deserving and worthy of love.